Right now, as you're watching this video, there are cybercriminals using artificial intelligence to specifically target retirees like you. They're not just after your money anymore. They're after very specific pieces of personal information that can destroy your entire retirement security. The FBI's 2024 report shows a 33% increase in losses for seniors, with personal data exposure driving 72% of elder fraud cases, according to Incogni's analysis. This data exposure fueled nearly $4.9 billion in financial losses in 2024 alone. I'm going to show you the 7 things you should never tell anyone, and why keeping these secrets could save your entire financial future. The first secret involves something you probably share without thinking twice about it. Your bank account details are digital gold. Your bank account details have become digital gold for AI-powered criminals. The FBI's 2024 Internet Crime Report documented 17,810 tech support fraud complaints from seniors, with criminals using increasingly sophisticated methods to access financial information. These aren't random attacks anymore. Today's criminals want to understand how you think about money when you make transactions and what your spending patterns look like. The Incogni report found that 72% of elder fraud cases were fueled by personal data availability, and criminals now study your financial behavior to rob you systematically. When you mention that you always pay your bills on the first of the month, or that you transfer money to your grandchildren every Christmas, you're giving criminals a roadmap to your financial life. They use this information to time their attacks perfectly, knowing exactly when you're most likely to have money in your accounts or when you're expecting certain transactions. Most retirees don't realize that sharing even basic financial information on social media creates what experts call a digital fingerprint. When you post about that expensive dinner you enjoyed, or mention how much you spent on your new car, AI systems are analyzing these posts to build a complete picture of your wealth. AI combines your online financial and personal posts into a detailed profile, a concept highlighted by the Incogni report on data removal. The system learns that you have disposable income for travel, enjoy luxury experiences, and have investments that generate returns. That's everything a criminal needs to know to target you effectively. The way criminals piece together your financial information is like watching a puzzle come together, except each piece makes you more vulnerable. They might start with a Facebook post about your recent cruise, then find a photo of you at an expensive restaurant, then discover a comment you made about your investment returns. Each fragment seems harmless by itself, but AI can combine these scattered pieces into a comprehensive financial profile. The 2024 IC3 data shows that phishing was the top complaint category for seniors, with criminals using your shared financial habits to create convincing fake communications. They know when you typically check your accounts, what banks you use, and how you normally handle financial transactions. This knowledge makes their phishing attempts incredibly believable because they're tailored specifically to your financial behavior patterns. The real-world examples of retirees losing their life savings through seemingly innocent financial disclosures are becoming more common every month. A retired teacher in Arizona lost $89,000 after mentioning her investment account balance in a church prayer request. Someone in the congregation shared that information, and within weeks, she was receiving calls from sophisticated scammers who knew exactly how much money she had and where it was invested. A retired mechanic in Texas lost his entire retirement fund after posting about his successful stock picks on a financial forum. The criminals used his posting history to create a fake investment opportunity that seemed perfectly tailored to his interests and risk tolerance. Even telling family members about your financial situation can backfire in the digital age. Your children and grandchildren share information about family wealth on social media without realizing the danger. When your daughter posts about the expensive gift you gave her, or your grandson mentions his inheritance plans, criminals are watching. They use family social media posts to identify wealthy relatives and then target them with sophisticated scams. The criminals know that if your family is comfortable sharing financial information online, you're probably an easier target than someone who keeps their finances completely private. Criminals now monitor family social media posts specifically to target wealthy relatives. They use AI to analyze family connections and identify the family members who have the most money. Once they've identified their target, they study the family's communication patterns, shared interests, and emotional triggers. Then they create elaborate scams that appear to come from family members in distress. The criminal might impersonate your grandchild asking for emergency money or pose as your adult child who needs help with a business investment. Because they've studied your family's social media presence, they know exactly what to say to make the scam believable. The specific financial information you should never share includes your account balances, investment portfolio details, monthly income amounts, debt levels, and spending patterns. Don't mention how much you paid for major purchases, don't discuss your investment returns, and don't talk about your retirement income. Avoid sharing information about your financial advisors, your bank branches, or your investment strategies. Never discuss your estate planning details, your beneficiary arrangements, or your insurance coverage amounts. Even seemingly innocent information, like your favorite restaurants or vacation destinations, can be used to estimate your wealth level. The reason these details are so dangerous is that criminals use AI to create what they call a financial personality profile. This profile includes your risk tolerance, your emotional triggers related to money, and your decision-making patterns. With this information, they can create scams that are specifically designed to appeal to your financial personality. If you're conservative with money, they'll create a safe-sounding investment scam. If you're generous with family, they'll create an emergency family scam. The more financial information you share, the more accurate and convincing these personalized scams become. Your financial privacy is your first line of defense against AI-powered theft. When criminals don't have information about your financial situation, they can't create targeted scams that are designed specifically for you. They have to rely on generic scams that are much easier to recognize and avoid. By keeping your financial information private, you force criminals to guess about your wealth level, your risk tolerance, and your emotional triggers. This makes their scams less effective and easier for you to spot. But protecting your bank account details is just the beginning. There's another piece of personal information that criminals prize even more highly, and most retirees have no idea how easily it can be stolen and weaponized against them. Social security numbers in the age of AI identity theft. That information is your social security number, and AI has transformed it into the ultimate weapon for complete identity takeover. The National Public Data Breach in early 2024 exposed approximately 272 million social security numbers, representing 60% of all historical social security numbers ever issued by the IRS. This breach included full names, addresses, and information about relatives, creating a massive database that criminals can use to verify social security numbers and create synthetic identities. The data included addresses spanning decades, providing criminals with comprehensive histories they can use to build convincing fake identities. This breach essentially gave criminals a roadmap to millions of social security numbers, along with the personal information needed to use them effectively. AI document generation has become so sophisticated that criminals can create entire fake identities in under 10 minutes using only your social security number. The system creates a driver's license, birth certificate, passport application, and bank account opening documents that look completely authentic. A retired accountant from Michigan discovered that criminals had used AI to generate a complete set of fake documents using only her social security number. The woman only found out when she received a credit card bill for $23,000 in charges she never made. This isn't an isolated incident anymore. AI document generation has become faster than you can make a cup of coffee. The ways criminals harvest social security numbers through seemingly legitimate channels have multiplied dramatically in 2025. They're not just calling and asking for your number anymore. Instead, they create fake healthcare websites that look identical to Medicare portals, complete with official-looking logos and government-style formatting. When you enter your Social Security number to check your benefits, you're actually giving it directly to criminals. They've also started creating fake tax preparation services that offer free filing, fake insurance quote websites, and even fake charity organizations that request your Social Security number for donation tax receipts. These sites look so legitimate that even tech-savvy people get fooled. The way AI combines Social Security numbers with publicly available records creates a perfect storm for identity theft. Once criminals have your Social Security number, AI systems can immediately access your credit history, employment records, address, history, and family information. The AI then uses this data to create a complete fake identity that includes your real credit score, your actual work history, and your genuine personal details. This fake identity isn't just a name and number. It's a fully functional digital person that can pass credit checks, employment verification, and even background investigations. Identity theft has evolved far beyond simple credit card fraud into complete life takeovers. The old version of identity theft involved criminals opening a credit card in your name and running up some charges. Today's AI-powered identity theft involves criminals literally becoming you in the digital world. They use your Social Security number to file tax returns and collect your refunds, apply for government benefits in your name, take out mortgages on properties you've never seen, and even get medical treatment using your health insurance. The criminal essentially lives a parallel life using your identity, and you might not discover it for months or years. A 67-year-old retiree in California found out that someone had been living an entire fake life using her Social Security number for over 2 years. The criminal had gotten married using her identity, filed joint tax returns with a fake spouse, opened multiple bank accounts, and even enrolled in college courses. The retiree only discovered the fraud when she tried to apply for Social Security benefits and was told she was already receiving them. By that time, the criminal had stolen over $180,000 in benefits, tax refunds, and loan proceeds. Another retiree in Texas discovered that someone had used his Social Security number to get a job at a major corporation, work there for 8 months, and then quit while claiming unemployment benefits. The employer reported the fake employee's income to the IRS, creating a massive tax problem for the real person. The traditional advice about Social Security protection is dangerously outdated because it assumes criminals need to steal your physical documents or trick you into giving them your number. Today's criminals don't need to do either. They can predict Social Security numbers using AI systems that analyze personal information patterns. If they know your birth date, birth location, and a few other personal details, AI can calculate what your Social Security number is likely to be. The Social Security Administration used predictable patterns when issuing numbers for decades, and AI can reverse engineer these patterns to guess numbers with surprising accuracy. The types of businesses and services that inappropriately request Social Security numbers have expanded significantly in 2025. Fake online retailers ask for your Social Security number to verify your identity for expensive purchases. Fake streaming services request it for age verification. Fake dating sites claim they need it for background checks. Even fake job boards ask for Social Security numbers as part of the application process. These requests often come with official-sounding explanations about identity verification requirements or new federal regulations. Many retirees give out their Social Security numbers because the explanations sound legitimate and the websites look professional. Updated strategies for protecting your Social Security number in digital transactions require a completely different approach than the old advice. Never give your Social Security number to any business unless you initiated the contact, and you're absolutely certain they're legitimate. When someone requests your Social Security number, Ask specifically why they need it, how they'll store it, and who will have access to it. If they can't give you detailed answers to these questions, don't provide the number. For online transactions, look for specific security indicators like SSL certificates, verified business addresses, and customer service phone numbers that actually work. Create a separate email address specifically for financial transactions so you can monitor all requests for sensitive information in one place. The Federal Trade Commission and credit bureaus now offer free tools to prevent fraud, including credit freezing services that restrict access to your credit reports. Freezing your credit prevents criminals from opening new accounts in your name, even if they have your social security number. You can freeze and unfreeze your credit reports whenever you need to apply for new credit, and the process has become much easier in 2025. You should also monitor your Social Security earnings statement annually to check for employment or income you didn't report. Sign up for credit monitoring services that alert you immediately when someone tries to use your Social Security number for credit applications. Understanding AI's capabilities helps you recognize when your Social Security number is truly at risk. AI can create fake documents, predict Social Security numbers from personal information, and combine your Social Security number with public records to create complete fake identities. This means that any request for your Social Security number, no matter how legitimate it seems, could potentially be used to create a digital version of yourself that criminals can use to steal your identity. The key is to treat your Social Security number like a master password that unlocks your entire financial and personal life, because that's exactly what it has become in the age of AI-powered identity theft. But protecting your Social Security number only keeps criminals from stealing your identity. There's another type of information that criminals use to physically target your home and possessions, and it's something most retirees share without thinking twice about the consequences. Travel plans and smart home vulnerabilities. That information is your travel plans, and in 2025, sharing them has become a direct invitation for criminals to target your home and personal security. A retired couple from Oregon posted photos of their arrival at a Hawaiian resort on Facebook, excited to share their first vacation in 3 years. Within hours, AI monitoring systems had flagged their posts, analyzed their home address from previous social media activity, and added their property to a target list for burglary. The couple returned home to find their house completely ransacked, with thieves having taken jewelry, electronics, and important documents. The criminals knew exactly when the house would be empty because AI had been tracking the couple's social media posts for months, learning their travel patterns and predicting their return date. The connection between travel announcements and smart home device hacking creates a perfect storm for criminals targeting retirees. When you post about your upcoming cruise or share photos from your grandchild's wedding across the country, criminals use this information to research your home's smart devices. They scan for your Wi-Fi network, identify your smart doorbell, smart locks, and security cameras, then work on gaining access to these systems. The global smart home device market is projected to reach $165 billion by 2025, but this growth also increases the potential for security breaches. Many retirees install smart home systems thinking they'll provide extra security while traveling, but these same systems become entry points for tech-savvy criminals who can disable them remotely. Modern burglars no longer rely on looking for newspapers piling up or lights that never change. Instead, they use sophisticated technology to verify when retirees are actually away from home. They monitor your smart home devices to see when your normal patterns stop, check your social media activity to confirm you're still traveling, and even use AI to analyze the metadata in your travel photos to determine your exact location. Some criminals use fake social media profiles to befriend retirees and their family members, gaining access to private posts about travel plans. They can see when you check in at airports, when you post photos from restaurants in different cities, and when you share updates about your activities. AI analyzes posting patterns to predict future travel plans, even when you never explicitly share your travel dates. The system learns that you typically post beach photos in February, visit your grandchildren in June, and take fall foliage trips in October. It recognizes patterns in your photo backgrounds, identifies recurring locations, and can predict when you'll likely travel again. The AI also analyzes your friends and family members' posting patterns to identify when they might be expecting you to visit. If your daughter posts about preparing the guest room or your son mentions planning activities for when you arrive, the AI connects these posts to predict your travel schedule. The methods criminals use to disable home security systems remotely have become frighteningly sophisticated in 2025. They can hack into smart doorbells and turn off motion detection, access smart locks and unlock doors, and disable security cameras by overloading them with false signals. Some criminals use specialized equipment to jam Wi-Fi signals, cutting off your smart home devices from their monitoring services. They can also access your home automation systems through vulnerabilities in the software, giving them control over lights, thermostats, and security systems. Even traditional security systems aren't safe because criminals can use AI to predict your alarm codes by analyzing your social media posts for important dates, family birthdays, and anniversary numbers that people commonly use for passwords. Sharing travel photos in real time creates a digital trail that criminals can follow like breadcrumbs, leading directly to your empty home. Every photo you post contains metadata that reveals your exact location, the time the photo was taken, and often the device you used to take it. Criminals use this information to track your movements throughout your trip, verify that you're still away from home, and plan their timing accordingly. When you post a photo from a restaurant in Paris, criminals know you're at least 8 hours away from your home in Chicago. When you share sunset photos from your cruise ship, they know you won't be home for several more days. Even private social media accounts aren't safe from AI-powered surveillance because criminals use multiple methods to access supposedly private information. They create fake profiles that appear to be other retirees with similar interests, gradually building trust until you accept their friend requests. They use AI to analyze your family members' public posts, piecing together information about your travel plans from their perspectives. Some criminals hack into data brokers who collect and sell personal information, gaining access to your private social media activity through these third-party sources. A 68-year-old retiree in Florida lost over $45,000 worth of belongings after posting about his month-long RV trip across the Southwest. The criminals had been monitoring his social media for 6 months, learning his travel patterns and home security routines. They waited until he posted photos from the Grand Canyon, then broke into his house using techniques they'd learned from watching his smart doorbell footage. Another retiree in New York discovered that criminals had been living in her basement apartment while she was on a 3-week European cruise. They had gained access by hacking her smart lock system after she posted her departure photos from the airport. Updated strategies for sharing travel experiences without compromising security require a completely different approach to social media use. Never post travel photos until after you've returned home, and when you do share them, remove all location metadata before posting. Create separate social media accounts for travel sharing that don't include your real name, home address, or identifying information. If you must share travel updates while you're away, use private messaging apps with only your closest family members rather than posting on public social media platforms. Consider having a trusted neighbor or friend post occasional updates from your home to maintain the appearance that someone is still there. Your travel privacy protects not just your home, but your entire digital security network. When criminals gain access to your house while you're away, they're not just stealing physical belongings. They're looking for documents that contain your financial information, personal identification, and passwords. They photograph important papers, install monitoring devices, and sometimes even set up equipment to access your home Wi-Fi network permanently. This physical access to your home can compromise every aspect of your digital security, from your banking information to your personal communications. But criminals aren't just targeting your home and possessions anymore. They've discovered that there's another type of personal information that's even more valuable for creating convincing scams. And it's information that most retire medical information in the telehealth era. That information is your medical history. And in the telehealth era, it has become the most powerful weapon criminals use to manipulate retirees emotionally and financially. A retired nurse from Nevada received a phone call last Tuesday from someone claiming to be her cardiologist's office, expressing urgent concern about her recent test results. The caller knew her exact medication list, her previous heart surgery date, and even her insurance provider details. The scammer explained that her latest blood work showed dangerous levels that required immediate treatment with a new medication that cost $2,800 upfront. The woman nearly sent the money before realizing her cardiologist had never ordered recent blood work. The criminals had obtained her complete medical history through a telehealth platform breach and used AI to create a perfectly believable medical emergency scenario tailored specifically to her health conditions and medical fears. AI scammers now use health data to create personalized, believable medical emergency scenarios that target retirees' deepest health anxieties. These systems analyze medical records to identify chronic conditions, recent treatments, and medication patterns. The AI then creates fake medical emergencies that sound completely plausible based on the victim's actual health history. If you have diabetes, the scammer might call about dangerous blood sugar spikes, requiring expensive monitoring equipment. If you have heart disease, they might claim your recent tests show immediate need for a costly procedure. The AI makes these scams incredibly convincing because they reference your real medical conditions, actual medications, and genuine health concerns that would naturally worry someone with your specific medical history. The ways medical information is being harvested from telehealth platforms have multiplied dramatically as more retirees use digital healthcare services. Criminals create fake telehealth websites that look identical to legitimate platforms, complete with professional medical branding and official-looking patient portals. When you enter your medical information to schedule an appointment or refill a prescription, you're actually giving criminals access to your complete health profile. Some scammers hack into legitimate telehealth platforms by exploiting security vulnerabilities in the software, gaining access to thousands of patient records simultaneously. They also intercept medical information during transmission between devices, particularly when retirees use unsecured Wi-Fi networks for telehealth appointments. Medical identity theft has exploded in 2025, with criminals using stolen health information to receive medical treatments, obtain prescription medications, and file fraudulent insurance claims. The impact on retirees is devastating because medical identity theft can change your medical records permanently. When criminals use your insurance to receive treatments for conditions you don't have, those treatments become part of your permanent medical history. This false information can affect your future insurance coverage, impact your ability to receive certain treatments, and even change your medical risk profile for life insurance purposes. Unlike financial identity theft, which can be resolved by closing accounts and changing numbers, medical identity theft can permanently alter your health records in ways that are extremely difficult to correct. Medical information has become more valuable to criminals than credit card numbers because health data can be used for multiple types of fraud simultaneously. A stolen credit card number might be worth $5 to $10 on the dark web, but a complete medical record can sell for $50 to $100 because it contains so much exploitable information. Medical records include your social security number, insurance information, emergency contacts, and detailed personal information that criminals can use for identity theft. They also contain information about your medications, which criminals can use to create fake pharmacy scams or sell prescription drug information to other criminals. The long-term value of medical information means criminals can use it repeatedly for different types of scams over many years. The national public data breach in early 2024 potentially compromised the sensitive, personal information of millions or possibly even billions of people around the world, including information that criminals use to access medical records. The total number of unique individuals affected by the breach is 292 million, with 272 million including Social Security numbers, representing 60% of all historical Social Security numbers issued by the IRS. This breach provided criminals with the personal information needed to impersonate patients and access their medical records through legitimate healthcare portals. The stolen data included full names, Social Security numbers, addresses, and information about individuals' relatives, giving criminals enough information to convincingly impersonate patients when contacting healthcare providers. Updated strategies for protecting health information in the digital healthcare landscape require treating your medical data with the same security measures you use for financial information. Never access telehealth platforms using public Wi-Fi networks, and always verify the legitimacy of healthcare websites before entering personal information. Create separate, secure email addresses specifically for healthcare communications, and use strong, unique passwords for all medical accounts. When healthcare providers request personal information over the phone, always hang up and call them back using the official number from your insurance card or medical records. Enable two-factor authentication on all healthcare accounts and regularly monitor your medical records for treatments or appointments you didn't receive. Never share specific details about your medical conditions, medications, or treatments on social media platforms, even in private groups or forums. Avoid discussing your healthcare providers by name, mentioning specific medical facilities you visit, or sharing photos that reveal medical information. Be cautious about apps that claim to help manage your health information, as many of these platforms have inadequate security measures. Your medical privacy is crucial for preventing AI-powered emotional manipulation scams that target your deepest health fears and concerns. When criminals have access to your medical information, they can create scams that feel personally relevant and emotionally urgent, making you more likely to act without thinking clearly. By protecting your medical privacy, you're preventing criminals from accessing the emotional triggers they need to manipulate you into making poor financial decisions based on manufactured health crises. But there's one piece of personal information that criminals can use to bypass all of these protections instantly, and it's something most retirees give out casually dozens of times every week without realizing they're handing over the master key to their entire digital existence. Phone numbers and the new SIM swapping epidemic. That master key is your phone number, and in 2025, SIM swapping attacks have become the fastest growing form of identity theft targeting retirees. A retired engineer from Michigan received a call last month from someone who sounded exactly like him, complete with his regional accent and speaking patterns. The AI system had analyzed his voicemail greeting and social media videos to perfectly replicate his voice. The caller contacted his phone company claiming to be the account holder who had lost his phone while traveling. Within 30 minutes, the criminals had convinced customer service to transfer his phone number to their device. The engineer only discovered the theft when he tried to make a call and found his phone completely dead. By then, the criminals had already used his phone number to access his bank accounts, reset his passwords, and steal over $67,000 from his retirement savings. The evolution of SIM swapping attacks, specifically targeting older adults, has become more sophisticated as criminals recognize that retirees often have higher account balances and less familiarity with digital security measures. Phone companies have historically been more willing to help older customers who call claiming to have lost their phones or forgotten their account passwords. Criminals exploit this customer service approach by using AI to research their targets extensively before making the call. They study social media posts to learn about recent travel, family events, or health issues that might explain why someone would need emergency phone service. The AI helps them create believable stories about being stranded while traveling, having their phone stolen at a medical appointment, or needing urgent access to contact family members during an emergency. Phone number theft leads to complete account takeovers because most digital services use phone numbers as the primary method for password resets and account verification. When criminals control your phone number, they can reset the passwords for your email accounts, banking apps, investment platforms, and social media profiles. They receive all the verification codes that these services send to confirm your identity. This process happens incredibly quickly because automated systems immediately send reset codes to whatever device currently has your phone number. The criminals can access your email first, then use that access to reset passwords for your financial accounts, all while you're completely unaware that your phone number has been stolen. AI makes it easier for criminals to research targets and create convincing impersonation scenarios by analyzing massive amounts of public information in minutes rather than hours. The system can scan your social media posts, public records, and family members' online activity to create a comprehensive profile of your life. If you recently posted about a cruise vacation, the AI might create a story about losing your phone while traveling. If your family posted about your recent surgery, the criminals might claim they need phone access to coordinate medical care. The AI can even analyze your posting patterns to determine when you're most likely to be away from your phone, timing their attack for maximum effectiveness. The new methods criminals use to bypass phone company security measures exploit weaknesses in customer service, training, and verification procedures. They call multiple customer service representatives until they find someone who's more willing to help, often targeting evening or weekend shifts when less experienced staff might be working. Some criminals use AI to generate fake identification documents that match the information in your phone account, making their impersonation more convincing. The National Public Data Breach in early 2024 exposed the personal information of 292 million people, including 272 million with Social Security numbers, representing 60% of all historical Social Security numbers issued by the IRS. This breach provided criminals with the personal information needed to answer security questions and convince phone companies they were legitimate account holders. Sharing your phone number casually has become exponentially more dangerous because it's now the master key that unlocks access to all your other accounts. When you give your phone number to new acquaintances, businesses, or online services, you're essentially giving them the ability to reset your passwords and access your accounts if they choose to become criminals. Many retirees share their phone numbers freely because they grew up in an era when phone numbers were just communication tools, not security devices. They don't realize that their phone number is now connected to their banking, email, shopping, and social media accounts. Phone number theft connects to all other forms of digital identity theft because criminals use your phone number to access the personal information they need for more sophisticated attacks. Once they control your phone, they can read your text messages to learn about your financial accounts, family relationships, and personal habits. They can access your email to find account statements, tax documents, and personal correspondence. They can reset your social media passwords to gather more personal information about your friends and family. A 77-year-old woman lost approximately $156,000 in a cyber scam that began with a call falsely claiming her SIM card was being used illegally. Callers impersonating law enforcement officers then demanded her bank details, threatening arrest. Using fake documents, the scammers convinced her to share her information and transferred $152,000 from her account. Another retiree in Texas discovered that criminals had used his stolen phone number to access his investment accounts and transfer his entire retirement portfolio to offshore accounts. The theft happened over a weekend when he was visiting family and didn't notice his phone wasn't working. A 2025 report indicates that 72% of elder fraud cases were facilitated by the availability of victims' personal data online, including phone numbers and family members' names. This readily available data is sold to fraudsters at a low cost, significantly driving the increase in cybercrimes targeting older adults. The comprehensive data from breaches like national public data makes it easier for criminals to create convincing impersonation scenarios when they call phone companies to steal numbers. Updated protection strategies require treating your phone number with the same security you use for financial passwords. Contact your phone company to add a PIN or password to your account that must be provided before any changes can be made. Enable two-factor authentication on all your important accounts, but use authentication apps rather than text messages whenever possible. Never give your phone number to businesses or services unless absolutely necessary, and ask specifically how they'll use it and who will have access to it. Consider using a separate phone number for business transactions and keeping your primary number private for family and close friends only. Your phone number is the master key to your digital life and must be guarded accordingly because it provides access to every other account you own. When criminals steal your phone number, they're not just stealing your ability to make calls. They're stealing your ability to control your own digital identity and financial security. But there's another communication channel that criminals have learned to weaponize with devastating effectiveness. And it's one that most retirees check multiple times every day without realizing how easily it can be turned against them. Email addresses and AI-powered phishing evolution. That communication channel is your email address, and AI-powered phishing has evolved into the most sophisticated form of digital manipulation targeting retirees in 2025. A retired teacher from Ohio received an email last week that appeared to come from her longtime financial advisor, complete with his professional signature, company letterhead, and even his personal writing style. The email expressed concern about unusual activity on her retirement account and requested she verify her login credentials by clicking a secure link. The message referenced her recent portfolio performance, mentioned her upcoming required minimum distributions, and included details about her investment strategy that only her real advisor would know. She clicked the link and entered her information, unknowingly giving criminals complete access to her retirement savings. The email had been generated by AI that analyzed thousands of legitimate communications from her financial advisor, creating a perfect replica that fooled someone who had worked with the advisor for over 15 years. Having multiple email addresses is now a critical security requirement because criminals use AI to connect email addresses with personal information from data breaches, creating comprehensive profiles for targeted attacks. The National Public Data Breach in early 2024 exposed the personal information of 292 million people, including 272 million with social security numbers, representing 60% of all historical social security numbers issued by the IRS. This breach provided criminals with the data needed to connect email addresses with names, addresses, and social security numbers. When you use the same email address for banking, shopping, and social media, criminals can use information from one breach to access all your accounts. Multiple email addresses create separation between different aspects of your digital life, making it harder for criminals to build complete profiles. AI systems analyze email patterns to predict behavior by studying when you typically check email, how quickly you respond to different types of messages, and what language patterns make you most likely to take action. These systems learn that retirees often check email first thing in the morning and are more likely to respond to urgent messages about health or family concerns. The AI identifies words and phrases that trigger emotional responses, then uses this information to craft messages that bypass logical thinking. If you always respond quickly to messages about your grandchildren, the AI will create fake emergencies involving them. If you tend to act immediately on health-related concerns, The system will generate medical emergency scenarios designed to make you panic and act without thinking. The new 2025 phishing techniques, specifically designed to target retirees' emotional triggers, exploit concerns about family safety, health problems, and financial security. AI creates fake messages that appear to come from grandchildren in distress, adult children facing financial emergencies, or medical providers with urgent test results. These messages use emotional language designed to override logical thinking, creating a sense of urgency that makes victims act without verifying the sender's identity. The FBI reports that phishing and spoofing were the most prevalent types of cybercrime reported by elders in 2024, with a 700% increase year over year. The messages often request immediate action, such as wiring money, providing personal information, or clicking links that install malware on devices. AI creates fake email conversations that appear to come from trusted sources by analyzing previous legitimate communications and replicating writing styles, vocabulary patterns, and communication habits. The system studies emails from family members, doctors, financial advisors, and other trusted contacts to learn how they typically communicate. It replicates their greeting styles, closing phrases, and even their tendency to use certain punctuation marks or abbreviations. The AI can generate entire conversation threads that reference past discussions, shared experiences, and inside jokes that make the communications seem completely authentic. These fake conversations often span several emails, building trust gradually before introducing the criminal's actual request. Traditional email security advice is insufficient against AI-powered attacks because it assumes humans are creating phishing emails with obvious spelling errors, poor grammar, and generic messaging. AI-generated phishing emails are grammatically perfect, personally relevant, and often more convincing than legitimate communications. The old advice to look for spelling mistakes or generic greetings doesn't work when AI creates personalized messages that reference specific details about your life. Traditional spam filters can't catch these messages because they look identical to legitimate emails from trusted sources. The AI learns from successful attacks, constantly improving its ability to create convincing messages that bypass security measures. A retired executive from Texas lost $340,000 after receiving a series of AI-generated emails that appeared to come from his investment advisor. The emails discussed market conditions, referenced their previous meetings, and gradually introduced a fake investment opportunity that seemed perfectly aligned with his risk tolerance and investment goals. Another retiree in California lost her entire retirement savings after receiving fake emails that appeared to be from her bank's fraud department. The messages warned about suspicious activity on her account and requested she verify her identity by providing her login credentials. The emails included her real account numbers and recent transaction details, making them completely believable. Updated email security strategies require treating each email address like a separate identity with its own security measures. Create dedicated email addresses for banking, shopping, healthcare, and social communications. Use different passwords for each email account and enable two-factor authentication whenever possible. Never click links in emails, even if they appear to come from trusted sources. Instead, log into accounts directly through official websites or call the organization using phone numbers from official documents. Create email rules that automatically sort messages into different folders based on sender addresses, making it easier to identify suspicious communications. Never respond to emails requesting personal information, even if they appear urgent or come from trusted sources. Always verify requests for sensitive information by contacting the sender through a different communication method. Your email security creates multiple barriers that even AI-powered attacks struggle to overcome. But there's one final piece of personal information that criminals use to tie all these digital attacks together into a comprehensive targeting strategy that can home addresses and digital stalking networks. That comprehensive targeting profile begins with your home address, which has become the master key, that unlocks every other piece of personal information criminals need to target you effectively. A retired postal worker from Alabama discovered that criminals had been using AI to combine his home address with decades of public records to create a detailed profile that included his daily routines, financial status, and personal vulnerabilities. The AI system analyzed property records to determine his home's value, cross-referenced voting records to identify his political preferences, and studied utility connection data to understand his household patterns. Within hours, the system had created a comprehensive targeting profile that included his estimated net worth, his likely daily schedule, and even his preferred shopping locations. The criminals used this information to time their approach perfectly, calling him just as he returned from his regular Tuesday grocery trip to present a fake home security upgrade that seemed tailored specifically to his needs and concerns. The ways criminals harvest home addresses through seemingly innocent interactions have become increasingly sophisticated as they realize how valuable this information becomes when combined with AI analysis. They create fake online surveys about neighborhood safety that request your address for demographic purposes. They pose as delivery services, asking for address verification to ensure proper package delivery. Some criminals create fake utility companies offering energy audits that require your address to schedule appointments. They also use fake charity organizations that request addresses for donation receipts or thank you letters. Real estate scammers create fake property valuation websites that ask for your address to provide free home value estimates. Each of these seemingly legitimate requests gives criminals the foundation they need to build comprehensive targeting profiles using AI analysis of public records. Home address disclosure connects to all other forms of personal data theft because your address serves as the primary identifier that AI systems use to link information from multiple databases. The National Public Data Breach in early 2024 exposed the personal information of 292 million individuals, including addresses spanning decades, providing criminals with comprehensive residence histories. This breach exposed 60% of all historical Social Security numbers issued by the IRS, making it the largest volume of Social Security number exposure on the dark web to date. When criminals have your address, they can connect it to your Social Security number, financial records, family information, and personal history. The AI systems use your address to search through property records, tax assessments, voter registrations, and utility connections to build complete profiles that include your financial status, family structure, and personal habits. AI uses address information to predict daily routines and identify vulnerabilities by analyzing patterns in public records and connecting them to behavioral data from other sources. The system studies your property tax records to understand your home's layout and security features, examines utility usage patterns to predict when you're typically home, and analyzes delivery records to identify your shopping habits. If you live in a single-story home, the AI might predict mobility concerns that make you vulnerable to medical scams. If your utility usage shows patterns consistent with someone who's home during the day, criminals might target you with door-to-door scams. The AI can even analyze your neighborhood's demographics to predict your likely interests, income level, and susceptibility to different types of fraud. The 2025 rise in address-based targeting for elaborate long-term scams has created a new category of fraud that combines physical and digital surveillance. Criminals use your address to monitor your property for signs of wealth, such as expensive cars, landscaping, or home improvements. They cross-reference this physical surveillance with digital monitoring of your online activities to create comprehensive profiles. Some criminals spend months studying their targets before launching attacks, learning their routines, identifying their vulnerabilities, and building trust through repeated contact. Sharing your address enables physical and digital surveillance simultaneously because criminals can use your location to monitor both your property and your online activities. They can park near your home to observe your daily patterns while simultaneously tracking your social media activity to verify your location and activities. Some criminals install monitoring devices on your property or in your neighborhood to track your movements, then correlate this information with your digital activities to create detailed behavioral profiles. Even indirect, address disclosure through photos and check-ins creates dangerous vulnerabilities because AI can analyze background details in your photos to determine your location. The system can identify your home's architectural style, landscaping features, and neighborhood characteristics to pinpoint your address even when you don't explicitly share location information. When you post photos from your front yard, the AI can analyze street signs, house numbers, and distinctive features to determine your exact location. A retired accountant from Oregon lost $67,000 after criminals used his address to create a fake home improvement scam that seemed perfectly legitimate. The criminals had used AI to analyze his property records and discovered that his home was built in 1978 and likely needed electrical updates. They appeared at his door with official-looking documentation about neighborhood electrical safety inspections, claiming that his home required immediate upgrades to meet new safety codes. The scam worked because they had researched his property extensively and knew exactly what improvements would be both necessary and expensive. Updated strategies for protecting address information in digital transactions require treating your home address with the same security measures you use for financial information. Never provide your address to businesses or services unless absolutely necessary for legitimate transactions. When online shopping, consider using a post office box or package delivery service instead of your home address. Be extremely cautious about sharing your address on social media, even in private messages or closed groups. Remove location metadata from photos before posting them online, and avoid posting images that show your home's exterior or identifying features. Create separate addresses for different purposes when possible, such as using a post office box for business transactions and your home address only for essential services. Be suspicious of any unsolicited contact that references your address or neighborhood, as legitimate businesses rarely use this information in their initial outreach. Never provide your address to survey companies, marketing firms, or unfamiliar organizations, even if they claim to be conducting research or offering free services. Your home address is the foundation that criminals use to build complete targeting profiles, but there's another layer of personal information that ties all these data points together into a system that can crack your most secure accounts using nothing more than the innocent details you've shared over the years. Security question answers and AI pattern recognition. The foundation criminals use to crack your most secure accounts lies in the personal details that answer your security questions, and AI pattern recognition has made these traditional protections completely worthless. A retired librarian from Wisconsin discovered last month that criminals had cracked her security questions for 3 different financial accounts without ever speaking to her directly. The AI system analyzed her Facebook posts from the past 5 years, her public voting records, and even her comments on local news articles to determine that her first pet was named Whiskers. Her elementary school was Lincoln Elementary, and her favorite vacation spot was Lake Geneva. The criminals used this information to reset her passwords and drain $43,000 from her retirement accounts. She had thought these security questions were protecting her accounts, but the AI had pieced together her answers from scattered information she had shared innocently over the years. Traditional security questions have become completely obsolete in the AI era because they rely on personal information that is either publicly available or easily discoverable through social media analysis. The questions that banks and websites have used for decades ask about your mother's maiden name, your first pet's name, your childhood street address, or your favorite teacher. This information used to be private, but AI can now find these answers by analyzing your social media posts, public records, and family members' online activities. The National Public Data Breach exposed 272 million Social Security numbers, representing 60% of all historical SSNs issued by the IRS, along with information about individuals' relatives. This breach provided criminals with family information that makes security questions even easier to crack. The way criminals use AI to piece together seemingly unrelated personal information creates a perfect storm for security question compromise. The AI doesn't just look at your direct posts about your childhood or family history. It analyzes your interactions with family members, your comments on old photos, and even your responses to other people's posts to extract personal details. If your sister posts a throwback photo of your family dog, and you comment about how much you miss Buddy, the AI records that information. If you respond to a friend's post about elementary school memories by mentioning your third-grade teacher, Mrs. Johnson, the system adds that to your profile. These casual interactions seem completely harmless, but AI treats them as valuable intelligence for cracking your security questions. Sharing innocent personal details feeds into AI systems that crack security questions because the technology can connect information across multiple platforms and time periods. When you post about visiting your hometown for a high school reunion, the AI can determine where you grew up. When you share a photo from your childhood home, the system can analyze the background to identify your street address. When you mention your mother's cooking recipes, the AI can often determine her maiden name by analyzing family genealogy records. The system builds comprehensive profiles that include not just your direct answers to security questions, but also alternative answers you might use and backup information that banks might accept. The 2025 methods criminals use to harvest security question answers through social engineering have evolved to exploit the trust that retirees place in familiar-sounding voices and official-looking communications. They use AI to analyze your social media activity and identify your interests, then call pretending to be from organizations related to those interests. If you frequently post about gardening, they might call claiming to be from a garden club conducting a survey. During the conversation, they casually ask questions that seem related to gardening but are actually designed to extract security question answers. They might ask about your childhood memories of helping your mother in the garden, your first pet that you gardened with, or the elementary school where you learned about plants. AI makes it possible to crack multiple accounts using pattern recognition because people tend to use similar answers across different platforms. If you use your first dog's name as a security question answer for your bank account, you probably use the same answer for your email account and your investment platform. The AI analyzes patterns in your personal information to predict what answers you're likely to use for different security questions. If it discovers that your first pet was named Max, it can test variations like Max, Maxie, or Maxwell across multiple accounts. The system also recognizes that people often use family names, childhood addresses, or significant dates as security question answers, then searches for this information in public records and social media posts. Even obscure personal details are no longer safe as security question answers because AI can analyze vast amounts of data to find connections that humans would never discover. The system can access decades of public records, social media posts, and family information to uncover details about your childhood, your family history, and your personal preferences. If you think using your maternal grandmother's maiden name is secure, AI can search through genealogy databases, obituaries, and family trees to find that information. If you believe your childhood street address is private, the system can analyze property records, school enrollment data, and family movement patterns to determine where you lived as a child. A retired teacher from Pennsylvania lost access to her email account, banking platform, and investment accounts after criminals used AI to crack her security questions. The system had analyzed her social media activity and discovered that she frequently posted about her late husband's military service. The AI cross-referenced this information with military records and determined that her security question answers likely included his unit number, deployment locations, and service dates. The criminals used this information to reset her passwords and gain access to accounts containing over $150,000 in retirement savings. Updated authentication strategies that don't rely on personal information require a fundamental shift away from security questions toward more secure methods. Enable two-factor authentication on all accounts using authentication apps rather than text messages. Use hardware security keys when available, as these provide the highest level of protection against account takeovers. Create unique, complex passwords for each account and store them in a reputable password manager. Never use personal information as part of your passwords or security question answers. Instead, create completely fictional answers to security questions and store these fake answers in your password manager along with your passwords. Understanding AI's pattern recognition capabilities helps you create truly secure authentication methods that don't depend on personal information that criminals can research and discover through public records and social media analysis. But there's another form of personal information that criminals have learned to weaponize with even more devastating effectiveness. And it's something you share every time you answer your phone or leave a voicemail message. Voice patterns and AI cloning technology. That information is your voice pattern, and AI cloning technology has transformed it into the most dangerous biometric identifier criminals can steal from you. A retired accountant from Kansas received a call last Thursday from someone who sounded exactly like her grandson asking for emergency money to get out of jail. The voice had his distinctive laugh, his slight speech impediment, and even his habit of saying between sentences. She was about to wire $5,000 when she decided to call her daughter first. Her real grandson was safely at work and had never been arrested. The criminals had used AI to clone his voice from just 15 seconds of audio they found in a TikTok video he posted 3 months earlier. This type of voice cloning attack took less than 2 minutes to create and would have been completely undetectable to someone who knew the victim personally. Voice recordings are now as dangerous as written passwords or financial information because they serve as biometric identifiers that criminals can use to impersonate you in situations where your voice is the primary form of verification. When you call your bank, your doctor's office, or your credit card company, they often use voice recognition technology to confirm your identity. These systems analyze your speech patterns, tone, and vocal characteristics to verify that you're really you. But AI voice cloning technology can now replicate these same characteristics with frightening accuracy. Once criminals have a sample of your voice, they can use it to access your accounts, authorize transactions, and even convince customer service representatives to make changes to your sensitive information. The ways criminals harvest voice samples through seemingly innocent phone calls have become increasingly sophisticated as they target retirees specifically. They call pretending to be from survey companies asking about your opinions on current events, knowing that retirees often enjoy sharing their thoughts on political or social issues. They pose as representatives from your utility company asking you to confirm your account information over the phone. Some criminals call claiming to be from your bank's security department, asking you to verify your identity by speaking certain phrases that they claim will help protect your account. They might also call pretending to be from Medicare or Social Security, asking you to confirm your information by speaking your name and other details clearly into the phone. AI voice cloning technology enables unprecedented impersonation scams targeting families because criminals can use your voice to contact your relatives and request money or personal information. They study your family's social media posts to understand your relationships and communication patterns, then use your clone voice to create believable emergency scenarios. The AI can generate hours of speech that sounds exactly like you, complete with your emotional patterns and speaking habits. When your adult children or grandchildren receive calls from what sounds like your voice asking for help, they naturally want to respond immediately. The 2025 explosion in voice cloning attacks, specifically targeting retirees' relationships, has created a new category of family-based fraud that's particularly devastating because it exploits the trust between family members. Criminals use voice cloning to impersonate grandparents calling grandchildren with fake medical emergencies, adult children calling elderly parents requesting bail money, and spouses calling each other with urgent financial needs. These attacks are timed to occur when family members are separated or when communication might be difficult to verify immediately. Voice cloning combines with other stolen information to create perfect impersonation storms that are virtually impossible to detect. When criminals have your voice sample, they also research your personal information, family relationships, and communication patterns to make their impersonation completely convincing. They might combine your cloned voice with knowledge of your recent activities, health concerns, or family events to create scenarios that seem entirely plausible. If they know you've been having heart problems, they might use your voice to call your family claiming to be in the hospital. Traditional voice-based verification is becoming obsolete because the same technology that companies use to verify your identity can be used by criminals to impersonate you. Banks and other financial institutions have invested heavily in voice recognition systems that analyze your speech patterns, but these systems can't distinguish between your real voice and a high-quality AI clone. When criminals call using your cloned voice, the automated systems often authenticate them as if they were really you, giving them access to your accounts and sensitive information. A retired nurse from Georgia lost $78,000 after criminals used her cloned voice to authorize wire transfers from her bank account. The criminals had obtained her voice sample from a phone call she made to her insurance company, which they had recorded through a compromised phone system. They used her cloned voice to call her bank and authorize transfers to accounts they controlled, passing the voice verification system completely. Another retiree in Arizona discovered that criminals had used his cloned voice to convince his family that he was in a car accident and needed immediate money for medical expenses. The technology behind voice cloning has advanced to the point where criminals can create convincing voice samples using audio from voicemails, phone calls, or even video recordings found on social media. The AI systems can analyze speech patterns, vocal inflections, and emotional expressions to create synthetic voices that are indistinguishable from the original. These systems can generate new speech that the original person never actually said, making it possible for criminals to have entire conversations using someone else's voice. Updated strategies for protecting voice patterns require treating your voice as a biometric identifier that needs the same protection as your fingerprints or other physical characteristics. Never leave detailed voicemail messages that contain personal information or emotional content that criminals could use to understand your speech patterns. Be extremely cautious about phone calls requesting you to speak clearly or repeat specific phrases, as these might be attempts to harvest voice samples. When family members call requesting money or help, always verify their identity through a different communication method before taking any action. Avoid posting videos on social media that contain clear audio of your voice, and be cautious about participating in phone surveys or marketing calls that might be recording your responses. If you must leave voicemails, keep them brief and avoid using emotional language or distinctive speech patterns that could be analyzed by AI systems. When businesses request voice verification, ask about their security measures and whether they store voice recordings that could potentially be compromised. Your voice is now a biometric identifier that requires the same protection as fingerprints because once criminals have a sample of your voice, they can use it repeatedly to impersonate you in situations where voice verification is the primary security measure. But protecting individual pieces of information like your voice is only part of the solution because criminals have developed something far more sophisticated that combines all of these data points into a comprehensive weapon designed specific digital footprints and AI behavioral analysis. This comprehensive weapon is your complete digital footprint, and AI behavioral analysis has turned every online interaction into a tool for psychological manipulation. A retired pharmacist from Tennessee discovered that AI systems had been analyzing her online behavior for 18 months, building a psychological profile that predicted exactly when she would be most vulnerable to financial scams. The system tracked her social media activity, her online shopping patterns, and even her email response times to determine that she made impulsive decisions on Tuesday afternoons, was most susceptible to health-related offers during her morning coffee routine, and became emotional about family topics when her grandchildren visited on weekends. The criminals used this behavioral analysis to time their attacks perfectly, calling her on a Tuesday afternoon with a fake medical emergency involving her grandson. The AI had predicted her response so accurately that she wired $15,000 within minutes of receiving the call. Seemingly harmless online activities create detailed psychological profiles for criminals because AI systems analyze every digital interaction to understand your personality, fears, and decision-making patterns. When you like posts about your grandchildren, the AI learns that family relationships are your emotional trigger point. When you click on health articles, the system identifies medical concerns as a vulnerability. When you shop online late at night, the AI recognizes that you make purchasing decisions when you're tired and less cautious. These individual actions seem completely innocent, but AI combines them into comprehensive profiles that reveal your psychological weaknesses and predict when you'll be most likely to respond to different types of manipulation. The way AI combines all disclosed information creates comprehensive targeting strategies that are far more sophisticated than traditional scam approaches. The system doesn't just use information from one source or one type of online activity. Instead, it analyzes your social media posts, your online shopping history, your email patterns, your search queries, and your website visits to build a complete picture of your interests, concerns, and behavioral patterns. If you search for information about heart medications, post about doctor appointments, and purchase health supplements online, the AI creates a profile indicating that health concerns are your primary vulnerability. The system then combines this health focus with your financial information, family relationships, and communication patterns to create targeted scams that exploit multiple aspects of your psychology simultaneously. Digital footprints enable long-term manipulation campaigns that can last months or years because criminals use AI to monitor your online behavior continuously and adapt their approach based on your responses. They might start by sending you helpful health articles that align with your interests, then gradually introduce promotional content for health products, and eventually present expensive medical treatments or supplements. These campaigns work because they build trust slowly over time, making you feel like you're receiving valuable information from a trusted source. The AI monitors your engagement with each message, learning what types of content you respond to most positively and adjusting the campaign accordingly. The process of how AI identifies the most effective emotional triggers for each individual retiree is both sophisticated and frightening. The system analyzes your social media posts to identify the topics that generate the strongest emotional responses, whether positive or negative. If you frequently post about your grandchildren's achievements, the AI recognizes that family pride is a powerful motivator. If you share articles about financial security, the system identifies money concerns as an emotional trigger. The AI also analyzes your language patterns to determine what words and phrases resonate most strongly with you. If you use religious language, the system incorporates faith-based messaging into scam attempts. If you frequently discuss patriotic themes, criminals use appeals to your sense of national duty. The availability of personal data online drove 72% of elder fraud cases in 2024, according to analysis of FBI data. This data exposure contributed to nearly $4.9 billion in financial losses, a 43% year-over-year increase, highlighting the critical role of digital footprints in enabling cybercrimes against seniors. Every piece of information you share online becomes part of a comprehensive profile that criminals can use to target you with personalized scams. The more information available about you, the more convincing and effective these scams become. AI behavioral analysis makes traditional scam detection methods obsolete because it creates personalized attacks that don't follow the patterns that older adults have been taught to recognize. Traditional advice tells you to watch for generic emails with poor grammar or unexpected phone calls from strangers. But AI-powered scams are personalized, grammatically perfect, and often come from sources that seem familiar or trustworthy. The system learns your communication style and creates messages that match your expectations. If you typically receive formal, professional communications, the AI generates scam messages that sound formal and professional. If you prefer casual, friendly language, the system adapts its approach accordingly. A retired teacher from Ohio lost $127,000 over 6 months after criminals used her comprehensive digital profile to create a long-term investment scam. The AI had analyzed her social media activity and discovered that she was interested in sustainable investing, worried about inflation, and trusted advice from people who shared her environmental concerns. The criminals created a fake investment advisor who specialized in green energy investments, sent her months of helpful articles about sustainable finance, and gradually built trust before introducing a fraudulent investment opportunity. The scam worked because the AI had identified her exact interests and concerns, making the fake advisor seem like the perfect person to help her achieve her financial goals. Updated strategies for minimizing digital footprints while maintaining online functionality require a careful balance between staying connected and protecting your privacy. Create separate email addresses for different purposes, such as one for financial transactions, one for shopping, and one for social communications. Use privacy settings on all social media platforms to limit who can see your posts and personal information. Avoid clicking on links in emails or social media posts, even from sources that seem trustworthy. Instead, go directly to websites by typing the URL into your browser. Regularly review and delete old social media posts that contain personal information, and be extremely cautious about sharing details about your health, finances, or travel plans. Understanding AI behavioral analysis empowers you to control your digital presence strategically, but the reality is that the entire nature of information sharing has been transformed in ways that most retirees don't fully comprehend. The 7 pieces of information I've outlined represent the foundation of your digital security in 2025. Each one connects to the others, creating a web of vulnerability that criminals exploit with increasing sophistication. The availability of personal data online drove 72% of elder fraud cases in 2024, resulting in financial losses that increased by 43% year over year, reaching almost $4.9 billion. Your immediate action step is to audit your current information sharing practices across all platforms and communications. Review your social media posts, email habits, and phone conversations to identify where you might be inadvertently sharing these 7 critical pieces of information. Understanding these threats gives you the power to protect yourself effectively in this new digital age, where information security determines financial